welcome. I'm gonna give a presentation on Black History Month on someone that's not very known by anybody. This is Claudette Colvin. Who is Claudette Colvin? Claudette Colvin is a girl who was arrested. She was the first woman to be arrested in Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to give up her seat. So many people don't know anything about this because it was not really released to the public until very recent, and she wasn't very recognized for this. But she was, even though she wasn't recognized, she was very important. As you can see on the picture, if you read it, in Montgomery, Alabama, a 15-year-old girl refused to move her seat, found guilty in juvenile, so she went to jail. What Claudette Colvin did was she was the first woman to refuse her seat. This was This was only 9 months before Rosa Parks. Claudette Colvin was arrested and it made it to the newspaper, but it didn't really go that big, so not many people really found out about it. But it caught the attention of the NCAA. She was recognized. She wasn't recognized because the NCAA thought she wouldn't be like good for the news. Like if she wasn't the nicest type or well-spoken type. So they decided to repeat it with Rosa Parks. And when they repeated with Rosa Parks, nobody really knew that it was repeated. So why did Claudette Colvin do it? Claudette Colvin was not really recognized because she was a teenager, and she got pregnant. Um, she got pregnant by an older male, I think, and well, it didn't look good, obviously. So people, if she were to go on the news, people would be like, "Oh, she's pregnant. She's a teenager. She's not good." So they put Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks is not super dark, and Claudia Colvin had a darker skin tone. So Rosa Parks was like light skin, and it looked better to the people because they were racist. So if she was like super dark, people on the news, the white people, wouldn't feel as much sympathy for someone who's like more like them. I guess I could say that. But Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat, and she learned she wanted to change because during it was the end of Black History Month, and that's what was going through her head, that she wanted change in the world. She learned about Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and she just saw how it was so unfair for them. And when she was told like to move out her seat, she was like, "Oh no, like I'm not gonna move out my seat. Well, what makes you think I'm gonna move out my seat? I'm the same person as you." But she was later arrested for this. She was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama. When she was arrested, she said when she got locked up, she was like, "This is part like of the Western movies," and she was perfectly fine with it. But when she was inside, she began to become full of fear, started praying, and but after all this, she still didn't think anything that she did anything wrong. In this picture, she is holding her book she wrote, or somebody wrote a book about her, like a biography. When was Claudette Colvin arrested? She was arrested in on March 2nd in 1955, and she was barely recognized for her accomplishments. Like nowadays, she's being mentioned everything. Like when I searched stuff up, she's being mentioned like Claudette Colvin did this before her. Like when I searched up Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin like inspired her, and this is the book again that was written about her. It's named Claudette Colvin Twice Towards Justice, and it's a true story. Well, as you can see, it is true. How did Claudette Colvin impact the civil rights movement? She had a huge impact, even though she wasn't very known. She was impact. She had a huge impact on she was pretty much the person who started the boycotts for the bus movement. But she was more based inside Montgomery, Alabama, so she worked more there. So, like, she took a legal case, and after many months and struggles, they put a stop to segregation on buses in Montgomery, Alabama. But even though, like, not many people knew about her, she was still a civil rights activist, and I think she became a nurse. Her causes and effects. She wasn't really a bad person, even though she made some bad decisions in her life, such as getting pregnant. Maybe that wasn't her fault. But she had a huge part in ending segregation in Montgomery, Alabama. She was historically the first person to not give up her seat. And Rosa Parks did the same thing. Like and when you gave us a lecture, you told us that Rosa Parks was trying this for weeks and stuff until she had to do it. Like she planned it. Claudette Colvin just did it off instinct, and she helped a lot organizing and giving motivation and to ending segregation on buses in Montgomery, Alabama, where she was mostly based. Okay, thank you. And this is my presentation on Claudette Colvin. Thank you so much. Goodbye.